Carmen asks, do you have any tips if you're running out of time? Running out of time is such a hard thing to address to a group of people. It's so specific to like why you're running out of time. So I can address some of the things that I see most students do that causes them to run out of time. And then I'll give you like some just generic advice. Unless I was like working with someone on a consistent basis, and like I'm that person's tutor or that person's instructor, I can't really tell you what you're doing wrong. But here are some common things that most students do wrong. Absolute number one, they're trying to understand what's happening. And I've made it very clear, quit trying to understand what's happening. As soon as you let go of that need, typically you'll be more comfortable moving through the passages. And if you know yourself enough to know when you're getting stuck, skip questions if they're dragging you down. If you can't back solve, or you can't process of elimination, or you can't do something to like increase your odds of getting a question correct, and you don't feel like you know what's happening, skip the question. So that's tip number one, is don't let anything bog you down time-wise. Know when to cut your losses. Another tip regarding time is probably not skipping the conflicting viewpoints, the fighting scientists. People don't think about it, they do it in order, and before they know it, they've just blown massive quantities of time on that section. And so those are probably the two big ones. Again, I'd have to work with someone on an individual basis before I could say, hey, this is what you're doing wrong. But those are like some just generic advices I can give you. As you get really, really good at this marking strategy, you will go very fast. For some of my students, so like for me, for example, and mind you, I've done a lot of this stuff, but like for me, I can take a brand new science section I've never seen before and probably do a passage in 2 or 3 minutes. And it's not because I'm smart. Like, don't believe that like, oh, he just does this all the time. I just know how the section works. I know when to not get bogged down in the technical terms, because you guys know more science than I do. If we had like a real science test in school, you'd beat me. I don't know that stuff, but I know how to not let the test get to me. And so that's something you just have to practice and drill and get down. For people who are still like early on in their like preparation for the ACT, one of the things that I would just really advise you to do is stop using timers, especially when you're doing your homework. There should be no such thing as running out of time on your homework, because I mean, you're there to practice. So like, why would you cut yourself short because of time? Instead, like what I'm gonna have you guys do right now is I'm gonna have a stopwatch rolling. And this is what I tell all my students: use a stopwatch instead. Have benchmarks that you wanna aim for, like try and be done in 6 minutes for experimental. But if it takes you 6:40, that's okay. Just look at it and then be like, okay, where'd that extra 40 seconds go? Like where could I have shaved that off, or where could I have skipped the question? So taking away the time stress is a pretty good way to start in the beginning. Again, timing is a very individualistic thing, so I don't want to like give too much advice on that. But this is one thing that I think helps students remove the stress of practicing for the test, is to use a stopwatch instead.